What an end to that football game.
It was unbelievable. I think with all the time that we invest, all the effort and all the commitment that we put to our passion, which is this incredible game called football, to experience those moments, the energy on the crowd, the happiness, the joy. And for sure, for many years, people will remember that I was at the Emirates that day when that 16-year-old kid took the ball in the halfway line and he went all the way through to score the goal.
The players didn't deserve that tonight. We put in a really good shift and done a lot of good things. Like it was just the nature of the goal. You know, Jordan gets a bit of it, should probably get more of it. But we mustn't forget how many great saves he's made for us, and it was just disappointing. I don't think we deserve to sort of go down to that type of goal.
A word from Max Dowman at 16 and 73 days old.
Yeah, it doesn't seem 16 when he's playing, but you see all the players celebrating with him. And yeah, he's amazing, and yeah, I'm so happy for him.
He changed the game. I mean, what he's done at 16, not only to score the goals, but how he accelerates every action, the decisions that he takes is just incredible. And he's made history today.
It looks like a title-winning game.
One more game, and that's what we had to do, and that was our duty and our dream today, and we managed to find a way to do it.
Expecting nothing else, but I tried. Well done today.
We will talk a little bit more about that. But for, 88 or so minutes, Ashley, you had crafted a really lovely piece of analysis on how well Everton were defending. And they did for almost all the game.
Yeah, absolutely. They nearly executed the perfect away plan again under David Moyes. They did ever so well, right up to, as you say, the 88th minute when it was just probably the only time they switched off. Arsenal are just on the attack. We've highlighted Dowman. Mikalenko gets a good tackle, but then he thinks his job's done. I don't know if he's expecting a long throw-in, but he switched off. They take a quick throw-in. Great ball in from Dowman. Hincapié at the back stick, and then, like all good strikers, he's in the right place. Jordan Pickford on his 350th appearance. Joe, I'm not sure. Yeah, you can talk us through that one.
I think David Moyes touched on it brilliantly, actually. Jordan's come, he actually gets a tiny little touch, and look, sometimes this touch you're going to see here is enough. It takes it off someone's head. This one hits Hincapié in the chest, over to Gyökeres, and look, that's not going to stay in Jordan Pickford's season. He's been absolutely magnificent. He was brilliant today, but unfortunately, he's got that one wrong. Gyökeres cannot believe his luck.
Why do you think he comes for it, Joe?
Because he's that kind of goalkeeper who wants to help his team. He's one of the main men for Everton. He's a captain on the day. He's a top keeper. I hate seeing that in the background because he's been so good this year. But that's the life of a goalkeeper. And Jordan will accept that, and I'm sure he'll be brilliant next game.
We saw Max Dowman's involvement in the first goal. He went even better and became the Premier League's youngest ever goal scorer at 16 years and 73 days. I mean, it's just incredible.
Unbelievable. And these are the kind of days that you just love the Premier League and you love football for situations like this. Everton are now pushing on. You can see Jordan Pickford in the box, trying to get his head on things. That's a great header, by the way, from Gyökeres. And then this is just down to Max Dowman. He's got so far to run. Brushes off Mikalenko, a little bit of skill around Dewsbury Hall. Then he kind of eases up and then has a little bit of a panic. Sensible finish into the goal. And what an absolute brilliant moment for him. Can you imagine being his age right in about now and just realising, oh, my gosh, I'm going to score my first goal at home. And then you see what it means. He just wheels off. And look at Declan Rice's face. I love that. The subs all the way down, Joe. It's a brilliant moment, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. I think Dowman's so composed. And he comes on and he believes in his ability. He's not surprised at what he's done. It's only when he sees the reaction and his teammates, he realises what a big moment that is in the Premier League. 1, in the Premier League as a history, 2, in the title race.
And if, you know, everybody alluded to it there, he doesn't play like a 16-year-old. He doesn't play like the Premier League's youngest ever goal scorer.
No, look at those numbers. You know, James Vaughan, 20-odd years he's been holding that record.
5 years before Max Dowman was born.
Well, there you go. That sums it up. But I've heard Declan Rice talk about him all the time, and it's just, you hear nothing but compliments. Played against Mansfield recently, a really mature performance. And like I say, when he scored that goal, he believed he was going to score that goal. He believes he should be on that pitch. And that's not an arrogance, that's a confidence. I think we've got a real special player on our hands.
And it's not just the fact that he's a 16-year-old. It's about the decision that Mikel Arteta made to bring him on. And this has been something he's got consistently right as the season's gone on. I think Arsenal players have scored or assisted from the bench 21 times this season.
And a part of that is the strength in depth that the squad have got, which we spoke about at the start of the season, that might be the difference. And then also, you know, the brilliance of Mikel Arteta to bring which sub to bring on and when to bring them on. Today he got it absolutely right. Brought on Gyökeres, Martinelli and Max Dowman, and that was over Jesus, who he could have brought on, who he left on the bench. And that paid off for him. Max Dowman, by the way, when he come on, changed the game for Arsenal. He was very composed. He made things happen. He livened them up in the attack. So you can say, yes, they've got strength in depth, but also Mikel Arteta is using it very well. And
as well as Dowman has played when he's come on, is it brave from Arteta to bring on a 16-year-old at that stage of a tight game?
From what I see from Mikel Arteta, he's not taking any chances. He's bringing him on because he believes he's going to change the game. He's not in this to try and win awards or have. I was the one who brought Max Dowman on. He couldn't care less if he was 16 or 66. He's bringing him on to win the game.
He wouldn't win it if he brought in a 66-year-old. So Arsenal get all 3 points, and then it's over to second place Manchester City, who went to the London Stadium for this 8 o'clock kickoff. 10 points back, West Ham were looking to move out of the bottom three for the first time since early December. Jonathan Pearce is your commentator.
You're out of the bottom three, and how important is that?
It doesn't mean much. Means that we are achieving points game after game, which is important, but the table can change at any moment. So what you did is a good job. Now let's rest and prepare the next one.
In terms of the title race, did you see enough from your team today? Because, like I said, they did everything but score to suggest you can still win it?
Well, it's so difficult how many games I lost Arsenal, but we have one game in hand, we have his game at home. I'm not saying it will be easy to beat them because nobody beat them, but it's hopes always you have to be there. To win the Premier League, you have to be more consistent than we are not. We are able to win one team that one admire the most is Newcastle, and we were able to beat them a few times, and after that, with the consistent we had in the past to win and win and win. Always you find a way. In the past, this type of games, always you find a way to win it. Don't explain me why, but it was for the way we play. And this season, for the fact that we didn't score goals, that the amount of chances we create, we punish us.
Not over yet.
Not over yet.
We will talk title race, and now that we can put that into context, Pep Guardiola is absolutely right that Manchester City have found a way against teams who've set up like West Ham did against them. But while we talked about Everton's performances, classic David Moyes, was this classic Nuno from West Ham?
I think to an extent, I think he can be really pleased with his team tonight. He played it down, that point's not that important, but I think the way that his team are performing at the moment is a real true reflection of what he's been like in the Premier League. Look, you're going to need your goalkeeper to play well to beat get a result against Manchester City. And Hermansen had a few really good moments. Haaland, we expect him to score there, but that's an excellent save. But Ash in front of him, they were absolutely colossal through the middle, weren't they?
Magnificent. And this guy, Fernandes, has been impressing me all season. What a tackle that is when you're trying to stay in the league. They played with this back three centre-backs or a back five, and you can see how close they are. They're all working together. Yes, Doku gets the better of Wan-Bissaka this time, but as it falls through, they're in the right positions. Hermansen jumps on the ball again. You see the shape here again. Haaland's offside. If you just keep an eye on Todibo, this is proper centre-back defending. Gets hold of him. That's Haaland we're talking about as well. Really good, strong header. Todibo and Mavropanos close together. Get first contact. Take one in the face if you've got to, because that's what's required at this point in the season. Brilliant defending. Shakes that one off. Scrambling inside the 6-yard box, getting between the sticks, block shots, and that's what Mavropanos did again there. This time, you can see the numbers back. This is what it means to them. Your goalkeeper comes up big again and just eases the pressure for you. As a centre-back, that's so good. I was so impressed with them defensively today. They really dug in and was resilient. Yeah, you highlighted Mavropanos a couple of times there in specific instances, and his overall play across the 90 minutes was just stalwart for West Ham. Yeah, absolutely. He was in the middle of that back three. I thought he communicated well. He organised the two centre-backs right and left of him. You see his numbers there. And by the way, he scored an amazing goal as well, which brought West Ham back into the game. So I was really impressed with him. But Disasi's been a great signing for them. Todibo played well today. As a team, they're just fighting for each other, and you can see the life in them. I agree with you. That is a massive point against Manchester City.
It's a huge point against Manchester City. It is also 2 huge points dropped for Manchester City. The gap is now 9 points. Now, you know, Joe, that is not necessarily insurmountable. You've come from behind in 2012 and 2014 to win the title. Pep Guardiola said it's not over yet, but he said it with a bit of a smile. Does it look a step too far now?
It looks tough. That would have hurt them, no doubt about it, seeing that Everton game unfold before the game today. But Manchester City, I agree with Pep, they did create a lot of chances, but it looked a little bit desperate towards the end of the game. But it's never over. You're never going to give up. One thing that we had in common, especially in 2014, Liverpool hadn't won that league for a long time, and they came unstuck when we put the pressure on. Arsenal haven't won the league for a long time. They're in an incredible position. They're having a great season. But Manchester City know they can put pressure on them if they can just get 4 or 5 wins together and really lean on them.
What do you think, Ash? Too much, or can they do it?
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I think it's Arsenal's now. I just think that the way City aren't putting those performances together, all grinding out wins, and Arsenal seem to be doing that. I think that's just the difference this season.
So while Manchester City, of course, will be disappointed with that, and they know that they've got a huge step to make if they want to overcome Arsenal, it's a really big point for West Ham. It takes them out of the bottom 3 for the first time since December. They're now on 29 points. Much about the psychological effect on them and on the teams around them, Ashley.
Yeah, it's a massive psychological advantage when you've been in the relegation zone for so long this season. Now you see yourself, you played today, you see yourself out of it, and then those Forest players and Spurs players going to bed tonight knowing that they have to win tomorrow. They had to before, but now they definitely have to win, especially Nottingham Forest. You don't want to see that yourself be beneath that line. So, you know, what a point it is for West Ham. I'm sure that will just keep their momentum going.
And also for those teams around, looking at how hard West Ham fought in that match.
They looked really united. You look at a team like Tottenham at the moment, you know, you don't feel like you're going to get that sort of performance, which is what's required. When you're struggling down at the bottom, sometimes it's about getting your teammate next to you, taking those blocks, that Mavropanos one to the grill. That's what you need to be doing. And whether the other teams are capable of that, we're yet to see.
Yeah, really significant result.
What a moment for that lad. We will talk about him in much more detail shortly. But in general, Martin Keown, you've got a big smile on your face. Arsenal got the job done. They had to go and get maximum points to make it 10 ahead of City at this stage.
Yeah, huge time of the season. You know, you're in that countdown into the last 8-9 matches, and Arsenal needed to win, had to win this game today, and they, in the end, with this young man's help, they found a way to win the game. Hugely important on that tug of war that you're having with your rivals. A great day for Arsenal in this one.
Stu, what did you make of the Arsenal performance in general? There were nerves in there, but late goals, huge points.
Yeah, I mean, the result was the main thing for Arsenal today. You've got to give a little bit of respect as well for Everton. I think they turned up today, made it really, really difficult for Arsenal. We're really impressed with certainly their first half appearance and performance. But Arsenal got over the line. You know, they've got a really strong bench, and those subs come on and change the game for them.
Everton took the game to Arsenal, didn't they, Shay?
Yeah, definitely. They were very much in the game. You know, David Moyes, really experienced manager, had a game plan today, and again, Arsenal felt a bit nervy probably the first hour of the game. The best chances in the first half definitely were Everton's. I think David Raya deserves a special mention as well, made a couple of brilliant saves for Arsenal, and not just today but in other key moments in the game. And Martin will tell you, if you want to win the Premier League you need a top goalkeeper, and Arsenal, they do have that. They left it late. We talk about Arsenal again, I think one of the biggest things they have as well is the strength and depth. Gyökeres off the bench, Max Dowman of course, a young man off the bench, and had a day he'll never forget. You know, setting up the first goal and scoring is just it's a dream come true for him.
Victor Gyökeres has had a fair amount of stick, Martin, I think it's fair to say. And look, he perhaps hasn't scored spectacular goals in an Arsenal shirt, but really important ones. This in the 89th minute to spare the blushes.
Yeah, and you saw the goalkeeper Pickford, the manager Moyes talks about it, almost a tale of two goalkeepers. But this young man comes on and then completely changes the game. You know, he's doing things that 16-year-olds do not do. Whips that ball in, and look, just the goalkeeper thinks, do you know what? I'm in great form, I can come and get this. And he just misses it. Hincapié feathers the ball into Gyökeres' path, and there he is for his moment in an Arsenal shirt. Started scoring a lot of goals. Is that 16 now or so?
Which isn't small numbers, is it?
It's not small numbers, and he's now making the difference in important times. And they just sucked that ball in. It just had that feeling that Arsenal were going to get a really good chance eventually.
And then, in the 97th minute, the moment where Jordan Pickford, of course, goes up, but 16 years old, 73 days, he is never, ever, Stuart, going to forget this moment.
No, he certainly won't. He showed great composure here. As I say, the header took him past Milenkovic, and then the composure to I think it was Dewsbury Hall, just left him for dead and rolled it into an empty net. And that run, you know, he's run 40 yards and he knows he's got a definite goal in front of him. Must have been brilliant for him.
I think he just looks natural, doesn't he, Martin? He comes off the bench. Even Arteta says everything comes natural to him. It's organic. This is him playing maybe an under-16s team this time last year. It makes no difference. They're sitting at the top of the Premier League. It doesn't matter to him. He's just a real talented player. And again, I suppose the thing is keep the feet on the ground, but I'm sure he will.
They've almost been holding him back for 18 months. He's been injured for the last 3 months. And, you know, when Airy was allowed to go on loan to Marseille so that this young man would be given an opportunity, and they've been waiting. And this is a special moment for him, but he is an incredible talent for the future, for England. And we've got to keep a lid on it. But just look at those numbers.
Record breaker, Martin.
Yeah.
The youngest Premier League goal scorer. You know, that James Vaughan record has stood for quite a while. Rio and Gamora at the beginning of this season, 16-3-6-1, but just 73 days and 16 years. Incredible.
He has to make sure he stays on that list and look at what some of those players have done beyond that and beyond other lists of, you know, breaking records. That's what I see for him.
But you think the ceiling is huge for him in an Arsenal shirt?
It's interesting that, you know, I played in a team full of superstars. And if Arsenal had one, well, this is definitely going to be one. You know, from the evidence we see from that age, he's quite an incredible talent.
Stuart, what about we look at his best bits throughout the day? And the one thing that strikes me looking at these little clips is just the maturity of the guy.
Yeah.
You know, this is a person that made his Premier League debut at the beginning of the season against Leeds. He's not sort of come and been bled in the League Cup and, you know, played the under-23 games. He's straight in. Premier League, first game of the season.
To be fair, what it does, you've got a manager that trusts a 16-year-old to put him on a pitch in a high-pressure game. And he's come on, he looks after the ball, and unless you're trusted with the ball, you don't play in a side like Arsenal that are chasing the league. Looks very composed on the ball. And as I say, young players that keep the ball are an absolute premium, you know, and he's got such... Well, listen, he's way above his years, there's no doubt about that. And it was interesting, my mind goes back to... Theo Walcott at a very young age that was taken to the 2006 World Cup, I think, as a young man. And you're thinking, if this kid can get into the team, is there a way forward for him this summer?
Well, you're trying to keep a lid on expectations, but do you know what? If he has a little run and he gets into the team and he starts to play, if he plays in a central position, then he's a game changer. And it's infectious, because someone like that makes you play. Certainly, straight away, Eza was playing even better, shooting from distance. So it's a great thing for the manager to have now, to give the team.
And he is just part of that strength in depth from an Arsenal point of view, isn't he? When you look at the bench, and obviously, you know, today they were missing Trossard, they were missing Odegaard, and it's a 16-year-old that's got the business.
I think it's when you look, I said already, the bench and the squad that Arteta has built over the last number of years, not just in the Premier League, but for the Champions League, for everything. You would have to say they're probably the strongest squad in Europe at the minute. And again, he had to rely on his bench. We mentioned before about Everton, he had a couple of young lads off the bench. I know there's a young lad in Max Dowman coming off the bench, but he's a real superstar, I think, whereas Everton had a couple of players come off the bench and didn't sort of switched off when they came off the bench, couldn't create. Everton had two centre-halves missing today. You know, they didn't have the same strength that Arsenal do, and I think that's what'll get them over the line, the squad that he's built over a long number of years. He has spent the money as well, let's not get that wrong, but I think this is the year where second no more will, and they're going to get their hands on the Premier League trophy.
Martin, what were your views of the performance in general? Stuart touched on it earlier, but, you know, it was nerve-jangling at times, wasn't it? And as I say, they've got those 3 points very late.
Martin wasn't nervous, was he? You were nervous.
Do you know, it was David Moyes. It was made difficult by a very wily old manager in David Moyes, who seems to get better year on year.
Yeah.
You know, McNeil's shooting from distance. Dewsbury Hall as well had good opportunities. They sat quite deep. We know that they do that, and then they counter-attacked with real purpose. I just feel they just need a striker, someone who can hold on to the ball for them to get even better. But David Moyes is putting really big steps in the right direction for that football club. I think they'll be absolutely fine next year. They might even make Europe this time around.
Does it feel like a game that we'll look back on, though, if Arsenal do get the ultimate prize and think, yeah, that night against Everton, 89 on the clock, still 0-0?
I think the tipping point has gone, you know what I mean? That result late on was a massive result for Arsenal. They're under pressure every time they play. Everyone keeps saying, haven't won it for 5 years, haven't won it for a number of years, come second. They're playing with that weight of expectation on them all the time, and every time they tick a game off and get over the line like they have today, it just takes the weight off slightly.
What's it like at this stage, Martin, going for a title? 10 out now?
Do you know, I think you play your whole career to get into these situations, so you have to love it. You don't fear it. You must wake up every morning and pinch yourself, because it's kind of unique to be in a situation where you can possibly win 4 trophies, and that dream is still alive.
He's not committing, is he? No, they're in such a strong position. They really are. And again, they've had the scars, Martin. To be fair, in the last couple of years, finishing second, everyone has a go at them. Even when they drew against Wolves, a month or so back, they're going to crumble, they're going to fall apart. But again, Arteta's managed to keep a lid on that. He's managed to keep the heads together. And again, it feels like a key moment. We've seen teams in the past, Fergie's at Man United, late goals. You've seen Man City do it, Aguero obviously famously scoring a late goal. Today it feels like that sort of momentum. Usually 89th minute, 2 very, very late goals. And you see the celebrations after Max Dowman's goal. They're all in there, they're all in it together, and it's a feel-good factor around the club at the minute.
I think as well, some people look back over the seconds in previous years and use that as a whip to beat Arsenal with. I see it as building blocks in getting their hands on the title this year. I really do. I think Arteta's learnt a lot from what's gone previous to this, and I think they've learnt a lot in regard to the squad size that you need to win a title. You can't just do it with 14 players now. You need the impact from the bench, and we saw that once again today.
And how much will the dynamic change in the fact that they play in 3 cup competitions before their next Premier League game? Obviously, you win them, you keep the momentum, right?
Yeah, you don't want that balloon being popped. And you don't know how the group's going to respond if they lose a game. So Leverkusen, the last-minute goal again was key there to come and win this one today. And then you go into the next game then feeling, hold on, Leverkusen, come on, let's bring it on. And then hopefully that's a good one. You've got this incredible cup final coming up with Man City. It's always City in the background. So, no, this has been a good week already, and it could be even better for next week.
Yeah. So Shay Given, former Manchester City goalkeeper, be honest, does that feel like that in terms of Manchester City's title push now?
It does, and I think Pep mentioned himself the Nottingham Forest game as well at home last week. It was a big blow to drop 2 points there. They've had a tough week, obviously going to Madrid, losing heavily in Madrid as well, and the spark doesn't seem to be there. They sort of huffed and puffed. They created some chances at West Ham there tonight in the game, but not. They weren't clear-cut chances. I didn't feel it's not the City of old. There definitely seems to be something missing, some sort of spark that's not there. And of course, Arsenal are flying away at the top, with 9 points clear now, so they're in a really comfortable position. And I think maybe even Pep thinks, he says he's got an incredible team, but it's not the incredible team that we've seen in Pep in years gone by, should we say. So they've still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, a former Manchester City manager, and Stuart Pearce here as well with us. They went ahead, it all looked good, didn't it, when Bernardo Silva stuck that in the back of the net. Whether he meant it is another thing.
I like him that much. I would like to think that he meant it. It was a brilliant, brilliant finish. The look on his face afterwards probably suggested it was more of a cross, but I tell you what, such a clever technique. And the goalkeeper, maybe they're offering criticism to the goalkeeper. I don't think you can. He's got to cover the near post area at some stage. And it's just a magnificent chip.
If he meant it, it's perfection, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe we should call it the Bernardo. Because he's been a top talent. He's in his last year. Maybe he stays.
Is that the clue, though, that look? He looks like he's looking for Haaland there. We see his face after this, after the ball goes in.
I think it's the celebration gives it away.
Yeah. This one.
Yeah, he's saying, not really, guys.
And, of course, the story was written for a former Arsenal man, Martin, to level things up in Dinos Mavropanos. The header, which eventually, referee points to the watch, was over the line, goal line technology, but it's a huge point in the end, and this was a huge moment in the title race, wasn't it, for Arsenal and City?
Donnarumma coming for, I think you can get and rattle this goalkeeper a little bit, which they do there, the original contact, Souček, and then he's got a free run at this ball. Semenion loses him, and Mavropanos has been quite outstanding recently. Him and Disasi at the back of the team have been a real standout. Something major's happened with that group when they lost to Forest just a few games back, and they've been quite remarkable to get the points they needed today to get themselves out of the bottom 3.
Defensively, when you look at Donnarumma there, Shay, as well, and that we're seeing Manchester City second-half chances, but defensively, they're a big question mark, right?
Poor goal to give away. I mean, Cherki there came off the bench, was a real spark when he came on. I think, he'll probably start against Madrid midweek now. Looked a different team. They started the game today with split strikers, of course. Marmoush and Haaland didn't seem to work today. Hermansen deserves sort of great credit in the West Ham goal as well. I think he played really, really well. Again, another shot from Shirky. He holds it really well. It's frustrating because they had created some good chances, just couldn't be clinical enough in front of the goal. Haaland doesn't seem to be firing in all cylinders as well. Foden's not the player of yesteryear for whatever reason, I'm not sure as well. So there's a lot to do. This is the chance in the last second. He's got to score, really. He's a couple of yards out. Anything on target here is a goal, but you wouldn't trust your centre half there, Martin, would you?
No, but it's all a little bit panicky. It's not really like Pep-like. And it is, of course, a different group. There's only 2 or 3 starting this game that have been a part of the winning groups of the past. So it's a part of a rebuilding process, but you can never really say he's out of the fight. He's been such a magnificent manager.
Stuart, when you think of all the firepower on that Manchester City bench, not only today, but throughout the season, only one substitute has actually scored off the bench in the Premier League. That was Ryan Shirky on the opening match of the season. That is a huge surprise with that talent.
That is an incredible stat. It surprised me, to be honest with you, and it just goes to show, you know, we'll put it this way, Arsenal had 2 come off the bench and score today, so they've doubled in one game.
And they've got 11 for the season, and that shows you, doesn't it?
The importance of the utilisation of the bench in modern-day football is incredible. It's out there for all to see, and you've got to come and have impact off the bench. The best teams and the best squads do.
Erling Haaland, what we're saying about Erling, Shay, you look, obviously he could still win the Golden Boot when it comes to the Premier League big prize in that sense, but here are his numbers. Look, the first 17 games of the Premier League season, 19 goals.
Yeah.
You know, he was absolutely cooking, wasn't he? The last 12, 3, 2 of those penalties.
Yeah, no, he's really dropped off. I mean, there's no doubt in his talent. You know, Pep said in recent weeks he's the best striker in world football, but them stats, that obviously graphic doesn't show that in the last couple of months. I don't know, it just doesn't seem to be falling for him. You know, we spoke earlier about can he be more sort of dominant in the air? He's 6'5", you know, he's sort of getting behind defenders and not really going and being that aggressive in the box. And I think he had 1 or 2 chances today, especially one I think in the second half was pulled back to him around the penalty spot, and he's on his left foot. There's no one challenging him. It's a clear shot for Erling Haaland, and maybe he's just showing he's human after all. Maybe his confidence is a bit low. I mean, he started the season on fire. He's dropped off. You know, even in Madrid midweek he was very poor as well. So he has to get back to his best for Man City. They're still fighting on all 4 fronts as well. And
Stuart, your old team, West Ham, out of the bottom 3 for the first time since the end of November. What has Nuno done since he's been in charge? I mean, even the last 9 games since sort of mid-January, 15 points, and points have been absolutely crucial. They've got them right in the thick of this race.
Yeah, it certainly has. And sometimes it takes a manager a while to get to know the players, you know. Sometimes you come in, you walk into a dressing room situation, you look at maybe Thomas Souček and think he's a bit of an ugly duckling, you know. Pagueta's a much better talent, more silky on the eye. I'll go with Pagueta. All of a sudden he leaves and you realise the importance of people like Thomas Souček at the football club that we did over a number of years in both boxes, by the way. Fantastic for the team, and the work rate that the individuals like him put in. I think it's just taken him probably a couple of months to work the balance out and get to know the individuals.
So come on, Martin, when we look at the title race and we look at the remaining fixtures for Arsenal and for Manchester City, come the 19th of April, it's now been moved, isn't it, to that Sunday afternoon in Manchester, are we still going to be close in this battle?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's still opportunities here for City. I mean, they're 9 points clear, Arsenal right now. There's a game in hand they can win. They can also beat Arsenal to close that gap to 3. But we look at the goal difference and maybe we're talking 10 points here. So it's all on Man City, really, to start to turn this around. But they can do it, and I won't go against him. But the game, it just has to go from game to game. The next one's away at Chelsea, and Arsenal have a home game. So this is an important period, and these away games are really catching up with City right now, not getting the points they need.
Stuart, you know that man very well, better than us, Martin Keown, but is this him excited? Is this because he's not looking? Look at his face.
I would like to see him depressed if that's him excited, if truth be known. I mean, to be fair,
Martin, you're allowed to believe now. You can believe.
Been in this position a number of times, so you know, you're always cautious. Always cautious. You get a slap across the face very easily in this game of football, the Premier League. So you take it from game to game.
He said they got no chance of winning the Premier League, but we could win all 4 this year in the same breath. It's incredible. I can't work him out.
He believes in the quadruple. So